students. Yeah, so our next topic is hormonal control of male and female reproductive system, right? So there are different hormones which are influencing the release of other hormones of male and female reproductive system. What is that hormonal control? So first we will study the hormonal control of male reproductive system, right? So first we will study the hormonal control of male reproductive system. What happens, students? Right? So we know that there is hypothalamus, right? Hypothalamus is attached with the pituitary gland by a stalk, that is infundibulum, right? So hypothalamus secretes which hormone? Right? It secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone. This is the first step, right? Hypothalamus secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone. It stimulates, right? We are writing positive sign for stimulation. It stimulates the anterior lobe of pituitary gland, right? So the anterior lobe of pituitary gland is going to secrete two hormones, right? Which are those two hormones? The first hormone is FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, and the second hormone is LH, also called as interstitial cell stimulating hormone, right? So hypothalamus releases gonadotrophin releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior lobe of pituitary gland to secrete FSH and LH hormone, right? Now what is the function of FSH hormone, right? This FSH hormone will stimulate the Sertoli cells, right? If you remember the diagram of seminiferous tubules, it consists of two types of cells. One is germ cells and another is the nurse cells. Those are pyramidal shaped Sertoli cells. So FSH stimulates the Sertoli cells, and this in turn stimulates spermatogenesis. This in turn stimulates spermatogenesis, right? This Sertoli cells produces two things, right? One is inhibin and second is ABP. ABP stands for androgen binding protein. Remember this much first, right? Now what about LH, right? LH is luteinizing hormone, also called as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. So the name itself says this LH hormone stimulates interstitial cells. Which are those interstitial cells? Those are Leydig cells, right? So it stimulates Leydig cells to release, right? So finally what is released? So when it stimulates these cells, right, what is released? The male androgen hormone. That is the main male androgen hormone is testosterone. So it will stimulate the release of testosterone, right? Now what is the function of this androgen binding protein? The name itself says androgen means testosterone and binding protein. So this androgen binding protein, which is released by the Sertoli cells, will stimulate the accumulation of the testosterone hormone in the seminiferous tubules. So what is the function of this androgen binding protein? Accumulation of testosterone in seminiferous tubules. What is the function of this testosterone? Why is it required to get accumulated in seminiferous tubules? So again, this testosterone stimulates spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis means the process of formation of male gametes, that is sperms, and it will also stimulate the development of secondary male sexual characters. Secondary male sexual characters. What is the function of this inhibin? If the inhibin amount exceeds, if the amount of secretion which is released by the Sertoli cell, that is inhibin, exceeds, then it is going to have a negative feedback on the release of FSH also, as well as on the release of gonadotrophin releasing hormone also. Rest students, so will quickly revise. Let's draw the structure of seminiferous tubule. Right, it consists of pyramidal cells, right, and there are germ cells which are cuboidal cells, right. So these are the two types of cells which are present in seminiferous tubules. In male, hypothalamus secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior lobe of the pituitary gland to release two hormones. Those two hormones are FSH hormone and LH hormone, also called as interstitial cell stimulating hormone. The FSH hormone, which is released by the anterior lobe, it is going to stimulate the Sertoli cells. This Sertoli cells in turn stimulate spermatogenesis. It also stimulates the germ cells for spermatogenesis, right. So it also stimulates germ cells for undergoing meiotic division for the production of male gametes. It also stimulates Sertoli cells to release inhibin and androgen binding protein. What is the function of androgen binding protein? It will accumulate the androgen, right. So over here is the Leydig cells which are present in the interstitial tissue. This is the androgen which is released. This androgen is going to get accumulated inside the seminiferous tubule. So this is testosterone. It gets accumulated inside the seminiferous tubules under the effect of androgen binding protein, which is released by Sertoli cells. Inhibin is having a negative effect. It inhibits the release of gonadotrophin releasing hormone as well as FSH hormone. The LH, also called as interstitial cell stimulating hormone, stimulates the Leydig cells, right. So these are the Leydig cells, right, which are present in the interstitial tissue to release testosterone hormone. And what is the function of this testosterone hormone? It will stimulate the germ cells to undergo meiotic division, and it will also stimulate the development of secondary male sexual characters. If the amount of testosterone in the seminiferous tubules exceeds its normal level, then it will have an inhibitory effect on the release of gonadotrophin releasing hormone also, as well as on the release of LH hormone also. So students, this is the hormonal control of the male reproductive system. How are the hormones affecting? The main male sex hormone is testosterone hormone. It is stimulating the germ cells to undergo meiosis for spermatogenesis, and it is also stimulating the development of secondary sexual male characters. Which are those characters, right? So once at the age of puberty, male under the effect of release of testosterone hormone starts developing secondary sexual male characters. Which are those characters? So formation of beard, mustaches, development of hair patterns such as in the chest region, in the axilla region, in the groin region, hoarseness of the voice, right? The larynx enlarges, the Adam apple enlarges, and it is seen prominently in males, right? And the voice becomes hoarse voice, broadening of the shoulders, development of the muscles, right? Particular hair pattern, right? All are the secondary sexual male characters which are seen after at the age of puberty under the effect of testosterone hormone in the males. Right? Now we have to study about the hormonal control of the female reproductive system. Right? Hormonal control of female reproductive system. Again, the beginning is the same, right? It is hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone. Hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone. This will stimulate the anterior lobe of pituitary gland, right? It is stimulating the anterior lobe of pituitary gland to release two hormones, right? Those hormones are follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. These steps are same in case of male and female. The response of these hormones are different. Hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone. It stimulates anterior lobe of pituitary gland to release FSH hormone, that is follicle stimulating hormone, and LH hormone. The name itself says FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. It stimulates the growth of follicles and the granulosa cells of follicles are going to release one female sex hormone, that is estrogen, right? So what is the function of FSH? Students, we had studied the internal structure of ovary. At that time we had studied that a single primary follicle enlarges to form secondary follicle, tertiary follicle, and finally a matured Graafian follicle. So as and when the size of the follicle increases, the cells which are present in the follicles are called as granulosa cells. So FSH stimulates the development of follicles as and when the size of the follicles increases. Under the influence of FSH as well as LH hormone, the granulosa cells of the follicles are going to release estrogen hormone. What is the function of estrogen hormone? It stimulates development of secondary sexual female characters, and it regulates menstrual cycle. So secondary sexual female characters and regulation of menstrual cycle. LH hormone, right? What happens with LH hormone? LH hormone is going to stimulate. So we have studied that once the Graafian follicle ovulates, there is release of secondary oocyte from it, and the leftover structure is called as corpus luteum. So what is the function of LH? Right? It will stimulate the development of corpus luteum, right? This corpus luteum we know is a temporary endocrine gland, and this corpus luteum releases progesterone hormone, right? What is the function of progesterone hormone? Right, so under the influence of LH, right, there is release of progesterone hormone, right? This progesterone hormone is a pregnancy supporting hormone, right? It stimulates the enlargement of uterine wall. Yes, so hypothalamus secretes gonadotrophin releasing hormone. It stimulates the anterior lobe of pituitary gland to release FSH and LH hormone. FSH hormone is stimulating the growth of follicle, that is from primary follicle, Graafian follicle is formed. And the granulosa cells of this growing follicle releases estrogen hormone. What is the function of this estrogen hormone? It regulates menstrual cycle and it is responsible for secondary female sexual characters. Which are those characters? Right? So enlargement of breast, right? Deepening and thickening of, you can say that thinning of the voice, right? Then pelvis. In females, the pelvis is broad and wide, right? And why is it broad and wide? So that it facilitates, and when anytime the female conceives and at the time of parturition, if there is not proper enlargement of uterus, then the baby will not be able to accommodate in the uterus, right? For that, the pelvis should be wide for proper accommodation of the developing fetus in the uterus and for the proper enlargement of the uterus. So widening of the pelvis is there. Then there is accumulation of the fat in the thigh regions, in the buttock regions. These are the secondary female sexual characters. LH hormone is released at the time of ovulation. So actually what happens, LH hormone, right, stimulates ovulation, right? So it stimulates ovulation, right? Ovulation is release of secondary oocyte from rupturing of Graafian follicle. So Graafian follicle ruptures and the egg, right, or precisely secondary oocyte is released. That is ovulation. That occurs under the influence of LH hormone. And once the Graafian follicle is ruptured, the leftover structure is called as corpus luteum. Under the influence of LH hormone, corpus luteum releases progesterone hormone, which is a pregnancy supporting hormone, and it thickens, it enlarges the uterine wall to support pregnancy. Right? So this is the female control, this is the hormonal control of the female reproductive system. Right? Our next topic is the process of gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Our next topic is gametogenesis. So we have to study about the formation of male gamete and female gamete. The formation of male gamete is called as spermatogenesis, right? That is formation of male gamete. It is divided into 3 steps. The first step is formation of spermatid. The second step is spermiogenesis, and the third step is spermiation. Right? So formation of male gamete is divided into these 3 steps. The first is formation of spermatids, right? These spermatids are converted into sperms, right? Spermatid are converted into sperms, right? That process is called as spermiogenesis, and the third step is spermiation, right? So we will take this. Again students, if you recollect Then we have studied the structure of seminiferous tubules. It consists of germ cells and Sertoli cells. Sertoli cells stimulate spermatogenesis. It secretes androgen binding protein to accumulate testosterone hormone in the seminiferous tubules to stimulate spermatogenesis. Who is undergoing spermatogenesis? Those are the germ cells, right? So say we are drawing the germ cells. These are the germ cells, right? These are the germ cells of seminiferous tubules. We are taking any one of this germ cell and we are studying the process of this spermatogenesis. So say this is one germ cell which we are studying, right? Now this spermatogenesis process is divided into 3 steps. Which are those 3 steps? The first step is called as multiplication phase. The second phase is called as growth phase, and the third phase is called as maturation phase, right? So these are the 3 phases of a formation of spermatogenesis. There is multiplication phase, growth phase and maturation phase. So say this is one germ cell, so these are the germ cells, right? These are the germ cells of seminiferous tubules. This undergoes first of all mitotic divisions, right? So all of these germ cells are diploid cells, right? This undergoes mitosis, and you know students, mitosis is an equational division. It is not a reductional division. So what is formed? You will get, right, many cells, and all of these cells are diploid cells only, right? All of these cells are diploid cells only, right? Because mitosis is there, so germ cell is diploid. It is an equational division, so all the cells which are formed are diploid cells only. These cells are called as spermatogonium, right? So from germ cell, the cells which are produced by mitotic division, the cells which are diploid cell, right? So the spermatogonium cells are diploid cell. That phase is called as multiplication phase, right? Now this spermatogonium are also of 2 types, right? Say these are the type A spermatogonium, these are the type B spermatogonium, right? Now this type A spermatogonium will function as stem cells and keep on undergoing mitotic divisions to produce more spermatogonium. So these are functioning as stem cells. Those will undergo mitosis to produce further more spermatogonium. Whereas type B spermatogonium, say any of this type B, cell of type B spermatogonium undergoes the second phase, that is growth phase. There will be accumulation of chromatin material and nutrients, and it will enlarge in its size. The name itself says growth phase, right? So this cell enlarges, right? How it enlarges? Because of accumulation of nutrients and chromatin, right? Again, this cell is also a diploid cell. This cell is called as primary spermatocyte, and this primary spermatocyte is also a diploid cell. And this phase, so this is multiplication phase, this phase is called as growth phase, right? So first phase is multiplication phase, where there is mitosis of the germ cells and production of the equational similar cells. Those cells are called as spermatogonium. Spermatogonium are of 2 types, type A and type B. Type A spermatogonium functions as the stem cells, and they keep on undergoing mitosis to produce more spermatogonium. Whereas the cells of type B spermatogonium undergoes the second phase, that is growth phase. So the cell will enlarge in its size. Why? Because of the accumulation of nutrients and chromatin material. The cells which are formed after the growth are called as primary spermatocyte, and these cells are also diploid cells. Now the next phase is maturation phase. It is this maturation phase where meiosis occurs, right? So this primary spermatocyte undergoes first meiosis. And students, we know the first meiotic division is the reductional division. So from this single primary spermatocyte, what is formed? Two cells are formed, and both the cells will be haploid cells, and those cells are called as secondary spermatocytes. And these cells are haploid cells because these cells are produced as a result of meiosis 1, and meiosis 1 is a reductional division, right? So it is a reductional division. That is why two cells are produced. Those are called as secondary spermatocytes, and those are haploid cells. Now this undergoes one more meiotic division, that is meiosis 2, right? When it undergoes meiosis 2, right, then ultimately 4 cells are produced, right? Again, right, we know students that meiosis 2 is an equational division. It is similar to mitosis, right? So meiosis 2 is an equational division, right? And that is why all the 4 cells which are produced are haploid cells only, and those are called as spermatids. And spermatids, students, are haploid. And this entire phase, right, that is after growth phase, there is first meiosis and then there is second meiosis. This phase is called as maturation phase. So multiplication phase undergoes mitosis, whereas in maturation there is meiotic division, right? See, these spermatids which are produced are non-motile structures, and those are the shape, the size is not similar to that of the sperms. So this spermatids undergoes the next process. That process is called as spermiogenesis. And finally, from this spermatids, the motile sperms are produced. That process is called as spermiogenesis. This much is clear. So we have studied 2 steps, that is formation of spermatid and spermiogenesis, right? Formation of spermatid consists of 3 phases: multiplication phase, growth phase, and maturation phase. The germ cells, we will take any one of the germ cell, it will undergo first multiplication phase. There will be mitosis, germ cell is diploid, so all the cells which are produced will also be diploid. Those are called as spermatogonium. So spermatogonium, students, are diploid cells, right? So germ cells are diploid, spermatogonium are diploid. Type A and type B. Type A functions as stem cells, they undergoes mitosis to produce more spermatogonium. Type B enlarges by the accumulation of nutrients and chromatin material, and now these cells are called as primary spermatocytes, and these primary spermatocytes are also diploid cells. That phase is called as growth phase, right? That phase is called as growth phase. Now comes the third phase, that is maturation phase. This primary spermatocyte undergoes first meiosis. Meiosis 1 is a reductional division. So the diploid cell, from one diploid cell, 2 haploid cells are produced. These haploid cells are called as secondary spermatocytes. So secondary spermatocytes, students, you have to remember the ploidy of all the cells. Those are haploid cells. This undergoes meiosis II, which is an equational division similar to mitosis, to form 4 haploid cells. Those 4 haploid cells are called as spermatids. So spermatids are haploid, right? And finally, these spermatids are non-motile structures. Those undergoes various changes to form motile sperms. These sperms are again haploid structure. So germ cells are diploid, spermatogonium are diploid, primary spermatocytes are also diploid, but secondary spermatocytes, spermatids and sperms are haploid cells. 3 phases, and then comes spermiogenesis. Through spermiogenesis, spermatids are getting converted into the sperms. What are the changes that happens? Now we have to study that. What are the changes that happens that spermatid gets converted into sperm? Before that, remember one more thing, that is spermiation. Right? So once the sperms are produced, right, the head of the sperms get embedded in Sertoli cells, right? When they mature, those are released. That release of the matured sperms, head of the sperms from the Sertoli cells, is called as spermiation. Right? So what is spermiation? Right? So once sperms are produced, right? Say these are the Sertoli cells. I am drawing it over here. Right? Say these are the Sertoli cells. Right? This entire structure is the seminiferous tubules, and these are the germ cells. Right? So we have studied that these germ cells undergo all this process to finally form sperms, right? These sperms which are produced, the head of the sperms will get embedded in the Sertoli cells, right? So germ cells, from germ cells sperms are produced. After sperms are produced by spermiogenesis, the head of the sperms get embedded in the Sertoli cells for obtaining nutrition. Once it gets completely matured, these sperms are released by the Sertoli cells. That release of the sperms by the Sertoli cells is called as spermiation. That is the third step of spermatogenesis. So finally the sperms are ready, right, and those are released from the seminiferous tubules. But what are the changes that happens when the spermatid gets converted into sperms, and what is the structure of the sperm? That we are going to study in our next video lecture. Right? So students, we have studied about the process of spermatogenesis. It consists of 3 phases, right? So which are the 3 phases of spermatogenesis? The first one is formation of spermatid. The second one is conversion of spermatid into sperm, that is called as spermiogenesis. And once the sperms are formed, they get embedded in the head of the Sertoli cells, and after maturation, those are released by the Sertoli cells. That release of the sperms is called as spermiation, which is the third phase. The first phase is consisting of 3 subphases, that is growth phase, multiplication phase, and maturation phase, right? So the first phase is multiplication phase, second phase is growth phase, and the third phase is maturation phase, right? So we have studied all those things, right? So we know that the spermatids which are formed, right? The spermatids are haploid, and this spermatids gets converted into the spermatids are non-motile and circular cells, whereas sperms possesses motility, they possesses energy, and again those cells are also haploid. So these are the haploid sperms, right? The process of formation of sperms from spermatids is called as spermiogenesis. So what are the changes that happens in the spermatid for undergoing the process of spermiogenesis? That we have to study first, right? So the first change is formation of acrosome. Acrosome is formed. Acrosome is a cap-like structure. And this acrosome is formed from Golgi body, right? If you remember the chapter cell of your 11th standard, we have studied different organelles. In that we have studied about Golgi body, and in it we have studied that it is involved in the formation of phragmoplast, which is the plate which is used for cell division. Similarly, Golgi body also forms acrosome, which is a cap-like structure. So this is the first change that happens. Then the second change is condensation of nucleus. There is condensation of nucleus, which means the nucleus, there is loss of acidic proteins and mRNA. mRNA and acidic proteins are lost from the nucleus and the nucleus condenses, right? Then the third change is there is formation, right? So proximal and distal central are going to align themselves. So there is alignment of proximal and distal centriole. There is alignment of proximal and distal centriole. Then the fourth change is formation of spiral shaped mitochondria. That spiral shaped mitochondria is called as Neberkern. Then the fifth change is formation of axial filament from distal centriole, right? And shifting of the cytoplasm towards the tail portion, right, students? So these are the changes that happens in the spermatids, and with all these changes sperms are formed. What are the changes? So spermatid will not have acrosome, but when spermatid is getting converted into sperm, there is formation of acrosome. From which organelle that is formed? It is Golgi body. What is acrosome? It is a cap-like structure. The second change is condensation of the nucleus. There is loss of acidic proteins from the nucleus and mRNA, and the nucleus becomes oval and elongated. Nucleus becomes oval and elongated. Then there is alignment of proximal and distal centriole, right? From the distal centriole, there is formation of aqueous filament, right? There is formation of spiral shaped mitochondria, which is called as Neberkern, and the entire cytoplasm of the cell is shifted towards the tail portion. These are the changes that happens in spermiogenesis for the formation of sperms. Right? Now we will quickly study the structure of the sperms. Right? So structure of sperm. It consists of 4 parts. Which are those 4 parts? Head. Second is neck portion. Third is middle piece. And fourth is tail. Right? So sperm consists of these 4 parts: head, neck, middle piece and tail. Right? Now what is present in the head region? Right? So first we will draw the head portion of the sperm. So this is the head portion of the sperm. Then comes the constriction. This is the neck portion of the sperm. Then comes again a broader structure. This part is the middle piece of the sperm, and then finally there is the tail portion of the sperm. Right? So this part of the sperm is the head part of the sperm. This constricted part is the neck part of the sperm. This part is the middle piece. And finally, this is the tail portion of the sperm. So now we are going to quickly recollect all the changes that happens during spermiogenesis and what are the structures which are present in the sperm. Right? So there is a cap-like structure which is present at the anterior end of the head of the sperm. This cap-like structure is called as acrosome. Acrosome is a cap-like structure. What is the function of acrosome? So it is filled with sperm lysins. And what are the sperm lysins? The sperm lysins are the enzymes. So acrosome is a cap-like structure which is made up from Golgi body and it is filled with enzymes. Those enzymes are called as sperm lysin enzymes such as hyaluronidase enzyme. And what is the function of this sperm lysin enzyme? Right? For the fertilization and penetration of ovum. So acrosome is releasing, it is rupturing and it is releasing these enzymes to penetrate the ovum or the egg for fertilization. So that is acrosome. Then the next part is an elongated oval structure, right? This is the nucleus part of the sperm. So this is the nucleus of the sperm. At this constriction of the nucleus is present the first centriole and one more centriole is also present, right? This centriole is called as proximal centriole and the centriole towards the middle piece is called as distal centriole. Now what is the function of proximal centriole, right? So this proximal centriole is going to penetrate inside the ovum along with the nucleus of the sperm, and this proximal centriole is involved in the formation of spindle fibers during zygotic division, and distal centriole forms axial filament. So, from the distal centriole, what is formed is the axial filament, right? That is called as axoneme, right? So, this is axial filament. Axial, so distal centriole is actually functioning as a basal body or blepharoblast, right? And we know the structure of centriole is 9+0 arrangement. There are 9 triplets, and in the center there are no microtubules. And the axial filament or the axoneme consists of 9+2 arrangement. That is, there are 9 doublets and 2 central singlets. So this distal centriole is actually functioning as a basal body, right? And it is giving rise to the axial filament, right? So function of distal centriole is formation of axial filament, and function of proximal centriole is, so this proximal centriole is going to penetrate inside the ovum during fertilization. So what is getting inside the ovum during fertilization is the nucleus of the sperm as well as proximal centriole. And then once zygote is formed, this zygote undergoes cleavage to form multiple cells. During that mitotic division, this proximal centriole is involved in the formation of spindle fibers, right? Middle piece. In middle piece, there are spirally coiled mitochondria, right? So there is the presence of spirally coiled mitochondria in the middle piece. So this is mitochondria, right? Mitochondria are spirally coiled. This mitochondria are called as Neberkern, right? So mitochondria are called as Neberkern. And what is the function of this mitochondria? So we know mitochondria is the energy powerhouse of the cell. So it provides energy for motility of sperms, right? This is plasma membrane, right? And cytoplasm is present more in the tail portion of the sperm. So where is cytoplasm shifted? Cytoplasm is shifted more towards the tail portion of the sperm, right? So this is the structure of the sperm, students. It consists of 4 parts: head, neck, middle piece and tail. Head part contains a cap-like structure which is acrosome. Acrosome is filled with sperm lysine enzymes. What is the function of this enzyme? Those enzymes such as hyaluronidase is going to help in the penetration of the sperm through the ovum and for the fertilization. Nucleus is condensed, it is elongated, it is oval shaped, it has lost its acidic proteins and mRNA, right? Then there is proximal centriole. Proximal centriole is going to penetrate inside the ovum along with the nucleus of the sperm and is involved in the spindle fiber formation during zygotic divisions. Distal centriole is involved in the formation of axial filament. It is functioning as a basal body or blepharoblast, right? Middle piece contains spirally coiled mitochondria which are called as Neberkern, and they provide energy for the motility, for the lashing movements of the sperms. Cytoplasm is shifted towards the tail portion, right? A male ejaculates 200 to 300 million sperms during one coitus. Right? And out of this 200 to 300 million sperms, 60% should possess normal shape and size, and 40% should possess vigorous motility. Right? So, a man is ejaculating, a human male is ejaculating 200 to 300 millions of the sperms during a single coitus, right? Out of this, normally 60% of sperm should have normal shape, size, and 40% should have vigorous motility to ensure fertilization, right? There is one more thing that is called as viability of sperms. Viability of the sperms is the time period during which the sperms have the capacity to fertilize ovum, right? After that time period is over, the sperm loses their viability, which means they lose their capacity to fertilize ovum. And the normal viability for the sperms is 24 hours. See students, lifespan of the sperms can be as much as 7 days, but it loses its fertilizing capacity after 24 hours. So viability of the sperms is 24 hours. This is clear. So we have studied about spermatogenesis, the changes that happens during spermiogenesis, and the structure of the sperm. In our next lecture, we are going to study about the oogenesis, and before it, we are going to study about the structure of different follicles.